is being held. It's a public workshop to discuss a project that the city is doing in partnership with Department of Health and Human Services at the county. Just for a brief description, I've been with the city for, am I echoey? Sounds really echoey. Derek, help, please. Derek, help. There's Derek. Okay. All right, so that's better. So I've been with the city for 17 years now. Been in many different positions and worked with our business community for a long time, as well as our community members experiencing homelessness throughout my career. A topic of discussion that has been going on ever since I've been here, and probably even before I got here, is finding a place where we can have community members go to during the daytime that are unsheltered, and having an opportunity for them to have a place to go that would have resources and have services provided for them. And so I really want to thank Department of Health and Human Services and the partnerships that we've had throughout the years, but especially on this project here. It's something that's been a long time coming, and I know this community has been looking for something like this. And so I've been very happy to be able to work with DHHS on this and working on this project. What the project is, we'll get into more, but just for the general purposes, it's basically a navigation center that is going to be built at the corner of 3rd and Commercial. It's at a location directly across from St. Vincent de Paul's free meal. It's also the location that started the pilot project for Betty's Blue Angel Village. So it'll be at that location there. I believe, well, I'll have Connie speak more to that. But so just for the agenda and for the format, I'm just making this brief introduction. This is Connie Beck. She's the Director of the Department of Health and Human Services. She'll be having a brief introduction as well and introduce Hannah, who is the consultant that'll be working on this project with the county. After Hannah's presentation, we will open this up and treat it kind of like the town halls that we had, where we can have people ask questions and have responses to those questions, express their concerns, and have a discussion about how maybe we can mitigate those concerns. But we wanted to just bring this forward. We provided notification to all property owners within 500 feet of the property for this meeting, so that we could have input from any adjacent property owners and figure out what we can do to either address concerns, or if they want to express their support, and how they can help support it. So with that, I'll send it over to Connie. Welcome, Connie.
Thank you. I'm Connie Beck, Health and Human Services Director for the county. I've been waiting to be here for a really long time, so I'm super excited. I'll just echo a lot of the things that Miles said. We've been meeting, county and city staff have been meeting for years. I know well over 10 years that I know of, and just looking for ways to assist our folks that are unhoused, and having a place to be during the day was always noted as a thing that was really needed. And then when we were looking for a place, having a place right across from St. Vincent de Paul free meal seemed like the perfect location. And when we heard that there was a building that was being built in that area, I definitely raised my hand and said, please let us do this work there, because it's so needed. So I'm just going to take a moment and talk about things that we've done so far. We're in the middle of lease negotiations with the property owner. We've been lucky to secure Hannah Ozanian as our consultant to help us with this project. I'm going to talk a little bit about Hannah now and make her feel really uncomfortable. Hannah was born and raised in Eureka, and her family has been in Humboldt County for 6 generations. She has dedicated her career to working with individuals and families experiencing homelessness. In high school, she volunteered at St. Vincent de Paul's Free Meal in Old Town, where her eyes were opened to the realities of homelessness and to how hard organizations and individuals work to help those in the most need. That experience ignited her passion for serving people living outside. In time, she worked as the program director of Friendship Park, a large day center for the homeless in Sacramento. During her tenure, the program moved to a new facility and expanded its services, and through that experience, she gained insights into developing, implementing, and operating this unique type of program. We're lucky because now she lives here in Eureka with her husband and 2 young kids, and she is going to assist us in implementing this program. So I'm going to turn it over to Hannah now.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Director
Hannah.
Beck, for that nice introduction, and thank you, Mr. Slattery. I am Hannah, and I am so grateful for you all attending tonight in person and on Zoom, for taking time out of your busy schedule and this sunny day to hear about our project and to hopefully help us out and provide feedback. So let me just get this up and running. All right. So for my presentation tonight,
Hannah, could you hold on one second? Can everybody see that on Zoom?
I don't know.
If somebody can even mute themselves and let us know if you can see the presentation on Zoom. It is? Okay.
Okay. All right. So tonight what I'll do is I will talk a bit about where I used to work, which is Friendship Park at Loaves and Fishes, show you some images of what that facility looks like and talk about how it operates. And then we'll move into our proposed project and what we have so far. So, yes, I did work at Friendship Park, which is a day center that serves hundreds of Sacramentans living outside every day. It's an organization that has been around for 40 years, Loaves and Fishes, and over time, its different programs developed to meet the needs of people living outdoors. So one of the programs that they developed was Friendship Park, which was initially just a place for people to be during the day, especially as they waited for their lunchtime meal, which is often, for many folks, their only meal of the day. So the board of Loaves and Fishes thought that was not dignified, and that they created a space for folks to wait for a couple of hours while they waited for 11 o'clock for lunchtime. And then over time, bathrooms were put in, lockers were put in, and over the course of 25 years, the staff and board and volunteers learned the different needs and strategies for serving this particular type of population, and also assisting folks to get inside into housing. So it's quite a unique organization, very large. Of course, it's urban, very different from Humboldt County, but as far as the function of the type of program it is sort of a hub where different organizations can come together and work on the challenges of homelessness, the crisis of homelessness at the local level. So here is Friendship Park, the new facility that we moved into in 2017. Prior to that, we were in a much smaller facility that was, as I sort of spoke to, piecemeal. It wasn't initially planned out with all of our services in mind. So after many years of fundraising and planning and working with the City of Sacramento, a new facility was designed, this one here, and it's an outdoor facility with many different kiosks, gazebos, and buildings that are all there's a big bathroom, there's a breakfast kiosk, we call it, where we would serve some light meals. And then, of course, some outreach offices where different social workers and organizations could come in and work directly with folks that were using our facility. Here is a picture of the front gate. You can see there's wide open walkways, which is very important for keeping the peace, and also just for folks with disabilities. A lot of people on the streets are elderly, have trouble walking or injured, and so it was very important for this facility that it was easily accessible. You can see we have a center area where folks could just lay out and rest. They could use the bathroom, as I mentioned. They could store their items for the day if they needed to go to a doctor's appointment or perhaps a job interview. Here we have some cart storage. Again, as I mentioned, in the back, you'll notice we had an animal kennel, which we plan to have for our Eureka facility as well. It's one of the first animal kennels specifically designed for people experiencing homelessness. We think it's the first one, maybe in the States, and it's a wonderful facility. Animals, there are many animals, as you know, out on the streets that are experiencing homelessness as well, and to give the animals some rest and the care that they need. Of course, people that are experiencing homelessness are typically wonderful animal owners and will do what they can to keep their animal healthy and safe, and of course for that companionship that folks rely on when they're living outdoors. So let's now turn, and if you have any other questions about loaves and fishes later, I'm happy to answer them. But to turn to our proposed project, I should note it's designed at this point for two different types of programs. There will be the Navigation Center, which will be located on the first floor, and on the second floor will be a shelter, a small shelter, non-congregate shelter with, now we have planned 11 studios or, studios. They have kitchenettes. So just to sort of orient you all that there's one location, but two different types of programs. One, which will be a day center where folks can just drop in, use the restroom, and then from there be connected to different social workers and programs that are available to them. And then upstairs, there will be a separate program, which would be a closed, locked shelter, which would operate like a shelter, so it wouldn't be much coming and going. So for the Navigation Center downstairs, what's the objective? We would like to develop a central location for our local community in Eureka and in Humboldt, but to really work together on these local challenges of homelessness. So to have all the service providers that are already down in that neighborhood, not to replace any of the existing services, but to create a space where we can come together and help individuals. Often with, and this is not specific to Humboldt County, this is to any community that is working in homelessness, the staff and volunteers are always typically working so hard to get what they need to get done, and they're often burnt out, worn out. What we're trying to do is not replace anything, but to try to support all these agencies by creating a space to come together. We want to, of course, engage with individuals, create trust with those living on the streets. Many people are very, have their own reasons as to why they don't seek help or want to speak to service workers. And so what we want to create is just a welcoming, warm space where we can invite folks in, they can use our services, and as we develop trust over time, be able to have those folks take the next step and seek housing. Of course, there will be some folks that will be apt and ready to go right away, but I'm speaking to those harder cases where you really need to work on trust in order to take the next step in services. And we also just want to provide a safe place for people to be during the day. If you drive around this neighborhood in particular, or walk around, you will see that during the day there are many folks on the sidewalks needing a place to go, needing a place to be. And so what we would like to do, again, is just give folks a place where they're allowed to be and then take the necessary steps to feel better, right? Sometimes people just need a cup of coffee, and some people, in order to take the next step, and some people it's a much longer trek. So what services do we plan to include? Assessment for service need. As I mentioned, access to social workers, community organizations, outreach organizations. We plan to have hygiene services, so restrooms, hot showers, a clothing closet, laundry assistance. Laundry help is definitely needed. We plan to have a community classroom and a computer lab, so we could invite different agencies in to, say, use this space for flu shots one day, or we could have like the Pathway to Payday workshop, perhaps, something that's already existing in our community, but they would have a location where they could directly reach our folks that are living outside. We'll have storage lockers, which is huge. I volunteered recently down here, and that is one of the number one requests for folks that are on the streets, is just a safe place to lock up some of their belongings, if not all. If you lose your license, if you get your birth certificate stolen, it is such a setback for folks who are in the process of seeking housing. And so lockers go a long way. A bike kitchen, at the kennel, as I mentioned, and we also hope to help with animal care. And again, it's just a safe place for folks to be during the day. For the shelter, upstairs, right, this is the second floor. Individuals will live as they work towards permanent housing, non-congregate, so it'll be separate rooms, as you'll see in the rendering coming up, or the format. Accommodations for partners, pets, and possessions. So perhaps if there is a couple on the street, they could utilize one of these shelter spaces, which is rare and is often a huge barrier to people seeking shelter. And of course, dedicated case management to help these folks as they move into permanent housing. The location, we discussed this briefly earlier, across from Free Meal, the St. Vincent de Paul dining facility. You can see an image here. It's right behind this fenced off area. And in this image, it would be to your left, the fence. And here are some guests at St. Vincent de Paul waiting for the lunchtime meal. And those are some of the folks that we would be hoping that could be across the street at our facility. Here are some images we have of the rendering of the building itself. So for this top image, the left-hand corner would be on Commercial and West 3rd. And I think this bird's eye view is really telling as far as what we're working with here. So On the left-hand side, the yellow section, that would be the building itself, the navigation center. But in the middle, that would be the big outdoor area where folks could come in. We'll have a space for their big items, big carts or suitcases, and then also provide lockers for a different type of storage, bike area, as well as a covered kennel for the animals. And really, I think just a big gate where folks can be welcomed in. And I'll show you on this next image. This is the downstairs, the actual navigation center. If you see this welcome window right here, I don't know if you can see that. So that's right as you would enter to the facility, there would be a big window where staff or trained volunteers would be able to greet people as they enter and answer any questions they may have. Let them know what services we have here at the center and what services are available close by. That, I think, from my experience working at Friendship Park, having staff right there as folks enter and are experiencing the center for the very first time, it's very important to have a warm, welcoming, well-trained, knowledgeable person right there to start the relationship off on the right foot. Then we have some showers planned, as you can see. So you could sign up, say, at this window and then go take a shower later on over here. Inside, a charging area, study area, common area, classroom, as we discussed, and different interview rooms so that social workers can come in and meet privately and confidentially with their clients. I found from my time at Friendship Park that was so effective in that we had these empty offices, and we did have the local DHA come in 2 or 3 days a week and occupy those offices, one of the offices. But the other ones, we had just a lot of freedom in inviting different organizations in to utilize it as they saw fit, and especially with getting smart, sharp volunteers that could really help people in crisis kind of navigate and prioritize, okay, what are the next steps? What do we need to do right now? Do we need to apply for a California ID, or do we need to get you a pair of socks? Kind of first things first, and it's just a beautiful way to grow relationships and to invite folks throughout the community in to be part of the project. And then to the left-hand side, this is the staff area for DHHS and other entities that might need to come in and have this private office space. Moving on to upstairs, this is the drawing we have right now of the 11 units. So we can fit 11 individuals, or perhaps if they're couples, more than that, as well as resident service office and an elevator as well. Regarding safety and security, because we will have that shelter, the 24-hour shelter upstairs, there will be security at night and during the day as well. Staff will be trained in de-escalation techniques, and EPD's CSET Community Safety Engagement Team will play a big role in outreach and community engagement. From my experience in Sacramento, we had a good relationship with SAC PD, and often when we did have to call for emergencies, it was, in general, 90% of the time it was a medical emergency, and we were calling paramedics because folks living on the streets often have some big health crises they're facing. But when we did need to call for safety reasons, it worked out well, and we also were trained in trying to avoid any drama or issues before they arose. So it was a good relationship in that the cops were able to help us out if necessary, and we were able to provide a space for police officers to bring, and other agencies to bring individuals to our facility for, seemingly minor things. If they came across someone who didn't have any pants or any shoes, or they found someone that really needed a shower, or most often they would bring folks who were very, very hungry. So the CSET team is doing a great job so far in this process, and we're really looking forward to partnering with them. So we are looking for not just feedback, but we are looking for other organizations who would like to participate and volunteer and be part of this overall project, because not only do we need help, it's necessary for this overall working on these difficult, challenging, complex issues of homelessness. It's going to take all of us and all of these organizations to come together, and of course volunteers from the community to really tackle this. And I would just say, though, we haven't figured out exactly how to deal with homelessness really anywhere in the States. My argument would be affordable housing. But I think that our community is not only very compassionate, but also really creative. And so this center, I think, will be a great tool, not at all the complete answer, but a huge step forward in getting us where we want to go, with helping our neighbors outdoors, getting the help they need. So if you are interested, please reach out. So with that, I will open it up for questions.
Yeah, so if you could minimize that.
I think so. Yeah.
And we will start with the folks that are on Zoom first. And we're not treating this like a regular council meeting. If there's questions, we can answer those questions. We'll get your question to the appropriate person to answer it. And we'll jot down any concerns or things that we need to address as we go forward with the development. So if there's anybody on Zoom, if you could raise your hand either with your video on or raise your hand virtually, we can have you. I'll call your name out, and then you can ask questions or have any comments that you may have. Does anybody on Zoom have any questions? Sierra Braggs, I believe. I can't see that far. Sierra? Oh. Not hearing you. Pam, could you turn off your...
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. We got you now.
Oh, now I can't hear.
We did hear you for a second there, Sierra.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I can hear you too. Sorry about that. I am Sierra Braggs. I work at Redwood Coast Regional Center, and we serve about 2,000 people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in Humboldt County, many of whom live in Eureka, and many of whom are also homeless or are intermittently homeless. And we are just really excited about this project. And it sounds, from everything that's been described, it sounds like it's really well thought out. We would love to partner with you guys on it. Our office is in Old Town, so we have the 3rd and 4th floor of the Vance Hotel, so we're just a few blocks away. So it makes sense on multiple levels as far as as we can tell.
Outstanding. Thank you. Is there anybody else? And I saw Connie jot your name and information down, so I'm sure we'll reach out to you. Is there anybody else on Zoom that would like to have any questions or comments? Okay, I'm not seeing anybody, so we'll bring it to the people in person. Anybody can get up and ask any questions. Any way that you guys want to come up there, that's fine.
I have a quick question, and thank you. As you probably know, I'm very excited about this. My question is about staffing. I know that, in the county and the city, we're doing a lot of work to kind of build up capacity for mental health supports. Is there any opportunity, or are there any opportunities for training or things like that to be wrapped into this, or kind of how are you partnering with other organizations for staffing?
We haven't partnered yet, but I do think that training, that's a really great idea. And any volunteers or staff that work at that facility will be trained in different techniques, and really, I think it's important that we all recognize I want to say it correctly. We want to be professional and humanize the folks that really need a place to be and to feel safe where they are, and so ensuring that all folks that work with us there have that same thought is really important to us. Yeah. Hannah, I don't know if you have any other suggestions to add. We are just going to start once we have a time frame of when the facility will be up and running. Then we'll start community meetings and really talk about all the services that could be provided there that could be helpful to folks. And then around staffing, we all have critical shortages in staff, but we in DHHS plan to move staff to that location so that they are more available. And then also we're looking for a contractor that would be that would do the 24-hour service work with the folks that will be housed there. But this is just such a wonderful opportunity to bring the community together to do this work. So I'm really looking forward to it.
I could add to that. So from the city's perspective, we've been partnering with DHHS forever and plan to continue to do so. One of the things that's happening for us structurally is we're moving a police annex down to the foot of Commercial. We're going to be housing our community safety engagement team there, as well as our uplift and care staff down there. Right now, our outreach workers for uplift spend a significant amount of their time at Free Meal, and I'm assuming that they'll continue to do so in that same general area, whether it be at the day center or the navigation center. From a training perspective, we have just started with Commander LaFrance and our managing mental health clinician to do de-escalation training and offer that to businesses. And we could easily expand that to this location for whether it be volunteers or other staff that are involved in volunteering for this project. We can provide those trainings as well.
Hi, I'm Nancy Olson. I'm the CEO over at the Greater Eureka Chamber of Commerce and excited about this project. I have, as those of you who know me, know that I have a lot of questions about a lot of things. So just some No gotcha questions, I promise. But first of all, and I don't know if I have a time limit, but
There is a limit.
okay, thanks, Miles. What is the anticipated timeline for this project? And I know it sounds like a lot of things are still in flux, but if you have an estimated timeline, that would be helpful.
I don't. I would like to say 18 months. I wish it was tomorrow.
Right.
I will say that we've been working on this for a very long time. All of the permits are in place, the building permit's in place, the design review's been done, all of the planning and zoning permitting is completed. It's basically now contractual work that needs to be done, and that's the only thing that's really stopping more construction right now, correct?
Yeah, actually, the lease negotiations are almost finished. I'm not sure what the groundwork that's happening currently. I don't know if they're just waiting for the lease negotiations to be finalized or not. I drive by every now and then and see that there has been a little work done, and not sure how much. But soon we'll have a better timeline that we'll be getting out to the community.
Okay, so would it be fair for me to say 18 months to 2 years is the hoped for timeline?
I hope it's sooner than
Great.
I'd say 18 months, and I hope that it's sooner.
Awesome.
And I do know the property owner has been doing preliminary work, not committed completely, but is doing preliminary work and is invested in this project. That's for sure.
Okay. My second question is about funding. Is this all DHHS funding, or where's the funding coming from for this?
Yeah, so we have funding. It's called HHAP, Housing and Homeless Assistance Program, I think. And really, we're using a couple of different pots of funds for the initial lease, and then we will have ongoing funding also. The county receives funding through this HHAP. The county receives some funding, and then the Continuum of Care receives another pot of funding, and that's the funding that's used to get this program started. We also just applied for a grant that would fund the services portion for the next 3 or 4 years.
Okay. And do you see yourselves doing any fundraising around it, like from private sector or anything?
I would love to say yes, especially for the volunteer program pieces. I would love to have a component like that.
Great, thank you. Last question, I promise. For now. So because I represent the business community, and I'm sure that a lot of the business community is really going to welcome this once it gets up and running, what are some ways that the business community can be engaged in this project?
Hannah, I'm going to let you answer this.
Well, I think there are many ways. I think especially for our neighbors right down in the vicinity, we would like to have a very good, develop those relationships so that if, for instance, something happens that we could help with, right? Say there's an individual that needs help and is at a neighbor's doorstep, they could easily call us and we could come and remedy what we could within our capabilities. So one, just the Old Town neighbors, we would like to know them and have good working relationships with them. And then as the facility is up and running, we hope to have many different opportunities for businesses to come down and volunteer and work and just tour the facility so that they can figure out where they can fit in within the overall project. It depends on, if there's an artist that would like to come down to do a mural, or a group of nurses that would like to come and do some sort of foot clinic and give pedicures, or if there are just neighbors that can lend the different skills that they have to all the needs that we will have. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, keep us in mind.
Yes.
All right,
you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Come on, Natalie. Well, we'll definitely continue to put out press releases related to this when there's new information, and we'll definitely make sure that we share the information about the contact information, the Humboldt County NAV Center at co.humboldt.ca.us is always a good way to reach and to be able to support this project or express concerns. If anybody out there knows about there's, adjacent property owners, we're in contact with them, trying to get them involved and also make sure that we can take care of any concerns that they have. I do know that the majority of them that are in that area are very happy to hear that this is going on, and we just want to make sure that we have good communication with them so that we can address any issues as they come up. So there it is.
So I've been able to be part of conversations about this for a little while, and so most of my questions have been already answered and incorporated. But as you were answering Nancy's questions, it made me realize that, I do kind of wonder if I understand that for the facility to be at its best, it would be fully built out, but I don't know if there is a possibility of a phased approach as it's being constructed. So I wonder what thoughts are about that. I'm sorry to put you on the spot with that question, but I figured since we were talking about timelines, it might be worth bringing up. So thanks.
We haven't had that conversation, and I wonder, I think possibly ADA would probably be an issue, but we haven't even had that conversation.
Bob, you got nothing? I'm just going to call everybody out while we're at it.
Yeah. I appreciated Hannah's coming by several times to not only interview us, but St. Joseph Community Resource Center, and I'm sure Brian Hall, because of the concern of overlapping assistance to the community. You want it to be as efficient as possible because funds can always be strapped. And this seems highly ambitious from just a staffing setup. You're looking at some highly specialized people in some areas. I see what we go through to get through a given day with a ragtag group of volunteers, many of which are the clients we serve. And you're going to probably have some similar challenges with the volunteers you solicit. I'm happy to hear that CSED and Uplift are moving closer to us. I know they've been challenged over the past year, CSED has, with manpower demands. But I'm happy that Hannah and whoever else was taking our information listened, and I don't see things that we're doing already being reapplied under that concept. And I'm happy for that, and I'm sure Brian is too. We want to have a kind of overlapping collaboration of sorts in that region to hopefully have a larger impact on what we're trying to address. So, hats off.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. If there's no other questions, come on up, please.
I'm so happy this is happening, you guys. I'm so so proud of you guys. This is awesome. We've needed this for so long. My question is there going to be some sort of something for like an emergency shelter in the winter when people are going to need to be getting off the streets due to temperatures, wind chill, all that kind of stuff? Is there going to be anything for that? Like even like a covered outdoor area that people could set up underneath for that? And also one other question, another idea I was thinking of would be is if there was a space for maybe a vet to come in and help out with animals, with vet care.
So we haven't discussed having it be an overnight shelter for winter shelter. And I think that gets really complicated. And I know with us having community meetings, we'll discuss more about what that could look like and where could there be a location or maybe a location nearby that could do something like that. I know that city staff and county staff are looking at other, whether it be not necessarily winter shelter, but whether it be tiny house projects or safe parking and safe camping, that kind of stuff. So there are other things that are being discussed around this. And then of course we are going to be looking for vets and others that could come in and do some work with the animals there for sure.
And I can speak a little bit to so we did a pilot project for warming centers with the faith-based community. It's not an ideal location, but it was extremely successful. We would open it up based on NOAA's extreme weather. We opened up, I believe, 7 or 8 times over the last cold spell that we've had, and it was very successful. It was barrier-free. It allowed couples. It allowed pets. Didn't have any issues. The Unitarian Church was happy with the success, and we just met recently again. There's 2 other local churches that are interested that are a little bit closer in proximity than that church, and we plan on fixing some of the issues that we had and establish more of a process for those to be opened and closed, and those will definitely happen. Even currently now would happen if we got into that situation, but we're trying to expand it so that we have at least 3 of those opportunities. And then of course we still have, it's not extreme weather, but it's an emergency overflow shelter with St. Vinny's that can get up to 25 beds. And that was opened this year as well. But we plan to expand that. And then lastly, we are looking at, hopefully we'll have more information on this, but we are looking at a home key grant that would be non-congregate shelter space through that home key grant, and it would add significant numbers of beds and also have less barriers. But that's kind of pending right now, but staff is looking at that currently.
Is that going to be in downtown Eureka also?
It would be in close proximity to services, yes.
Thanks.
Anybody? Hey.
I always have a comment.
Community member Brigel.
Yes, that's me. So I am so thankful for this project finally coming forward, and I just want to share my appreciation with both of you. And I love that you've had that experience at Loaves and Fishes, and I know that it can work. And I think what was said here tonight is really important, is that it is, we'll figure out the details, and that's going to be great. But, this is a community issue, and it needs a community solution. And so we all, it's time for us all to pick up an oar. And picking up an oar could be dropping off your old clothes, at the facility. It could be dropping off a bag of toothbrushes. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to engage with people, although that would be amazing as well, because all people do have value. So I just want to share my appreciation with both of you, and I'm so excited to see where we go next. And, the thing about this that's really critical too is that, currently I'm sure that there's a few of us in here that get a lot of phone calls about what's going on down in that region with people wandering around, etc. And this gives an opportunity for people to have a place to be, a dignified place to be safe, to shower, to have their things, and to be treated like a human being. What a gift. What a gift to our community. So again, I just really appreciate the dedication and hard work. I know it's been a long time, but the time is now, right? And that's what we're moving forward from. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Council Member. Excuse me, Mayor Bagel. Community Member Contreras Deloach. See, I can say it unlike some of our folks.
You've got it down. Yeah, I had a question. I'm sorry, from where I was sitting, I couldn't really tell. I was curious about capacity. I couldn't see on the thing what the number of, what you anticipate for how many people will be able to be housed in the upstairs. And then I was curious about the capacity for the kennels as well.
There's only 11 units upstairs. And we haven't even thought of construction around the number of kennels. But from your experience, Hannah, what did you see?
I would say for this facility, plan for 10 kennels or 8 to 10 kennels for the animals, and if necessary, we could build out easily. We're planning to have a covered structure outside, so it could be easily modified if necessary.
So then my follow-up question was, is there any potential for increasing that capacity for increasing past 11, or building a secondary structure, or is there any potential for being able to do more than 11 for housing individuals and more capacity for kennels? That's it.
There is a space for another building on the right-hand side of the current location that we're looking at. So we're going to start with this one. This will be like phase 1, and then see where we go from here. We could definitely use more office space down there by that location. And if we were to do that, then we would want more housing above that space. Anywhere we can get more housing, we want more housing.
So I just, one more thing. Oh, come on up. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Slattery. My name is Vernon Price. I'm from the formerly unhoused population here in this community. I've been housed now 5 years, and this is something that has really been a desire in my heart, is a navigation center. And I know that it's been in the hearts of some that's been on the street for quite some time. My question here is about volunteerism. People with lived experience, how can I pay it forward in this facility as a volunteer with lived experience? How could we with lived experience come forward with something to volunteer at this building? Thank you.
So, Vernon, knowing you, I know that you're going to stay connected to this project. And so we will continue to receive your feedback and invite you to other public meetings where we can have more conversation.
Any other questions or comments? I just want to thank DHHS and the county for the partnership. They've been outstanding. One thing that I did want to bring up is thanks to, I think it was HAP, it may have been HIP, the county awarded us some funding for showers. I know that there was a big loss in the community when we lost our house showers, the mobile showers. We applied for a grant through the county. I think it was HAP, wasn't it? HAP anyway. And we're awarded that, and that will provide a shower unit at Blue Angel Village at Washington and Coster. And we're hoping to have that up by this summer and constructed, and we'll fix the electrical problems that are out there at the same time. But just want to thank the county for their partnership and their support here in Eureka, because it's made a huge difference. And thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. And if there's any questions, you can call me on my cell, 707-599-2053. Or you can ask a local business owner to put it on a marquee for you. Thank you.